Okay, today we go for the Environmental Pollution Act. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, previous lecture we discussed about the Air Pollution Act. Today we go for the Environmental Pollution Act. Now, what are the provisions under the Environmental Act, and at what circumstances this particular Environmental Pollution Act is going to be implemented in India, that we see one by one, as well as what are the duties of the central government, what are the penalties are there if the particular act is going to be broken by someone. So that all parameter, that all sections we supposed to study in this particular Environmental Pollution Act 1986. Okay. Now the background of this, in the response of 1972 United Nations conference, which is going to be held in the Stockholm, where India is going to be also participated, uh, and the Environmental Pollution Act 1986 is going to be implemented in the India in 1986, but the conference is going to happen in the 1972. Most of the major point when the particular Bhopal tragedy is going to happen, the cyanide gas is going to be emitted into atmosphere, and the large amount of or large peoples are going to be died because of that. And under that circumstances, the environment, particular government also thinking about make the strict provisions, strict rules against the environment. And under that condition, the Environmental Pollution Act 1986 is going to be implemented. Now, this is the general intent that the empower the central government to prevent, control, abate environmental pollution. Is what we are supposed to prevent or control or minimize or lower the effect of environmental pollution. So according to that, that particular main thing is going to be considered prevent, control, abate the environment. For this effective implementation of the act, the various provisions of this act have been amended from time to time. From time to time, the particular some provisions, some clause are going to be changed to implement effectively, because when the particular law is going to be implemented, after that some loopholes are going to be identified, and because of the loopholes, the uh, particular law is not going to be implemented. As like the previous in the Air Pollution Control Act, the drawbacks of the Air Pollution Control Act already discussed. Some drawbacks are there. After the implementation or after the getting the notice to that particular industry, the 6 month buffer period is with the industry, and within the 6 month buffer period, the particular industry can changes the or vanish the evidences. So that is the one of the drawback of the Air Pollution Control Act. Similarly, some so that some time to time some amendment has to be made into the pollution particular act, so that the law is going to be more implemented properly and full results are supposed to be happen or getting. Now, silent feature of the environmental 1986 are briefly discussed as under. Now, before that, you must know the what is the act or what is the objective, why the act is going to be implemented, and what is the main objective of this act. The first objective is what? Protection, protection and improvement of environment. So, what is environment? What is environment pollution? What is environment pollution? There some definitions are there that we see afterwards. Now, what is the objective? Protection and improvement. You have to protect as well as improve the environment. Okay, so that as the quality of environment improves, naturally it will be benefited to the each and every aspect involved in that environment. The prevention of hazards to all living creatures, plant, animals, human and property also. If any hazard is going to produce, or if any harmful effect is avoid the harmful effect on the plant, animal as well as the property also. Okay, if any property is there which is going to be affected because of this environmental pollution, so that is also not going to be allowed. Okay, last class we discussed, if you take the example of Taj Mahal, so if the quality of that particular, or uh, if any problem with that structure, so in that case also you need to think about uh, whether that is going to be implemented or not. So the prevention of hazard to all living creatures, plant, animal, humans, along with the as well as the property also. The third objective is the maintenance of harmonious relationship between human and their environment, because most of the time what will happen for benefit or for the benefit, the human being is going to be play with the environment aspects. Okay, that cutting the trees and particular animals, changing the habitual nature of that animals, all these things is going to be done by the human. So our aim is to what? To maintain the harmonious relationship between human and their environment, because most of the time if I observe, the leopards are going to be enter into the human area. Why these leopards are going to be enter into the human area? Because of the food is not available into the forest. So in this way, if you maintaining, if you encourage, if you encouragement, if you doing, the human is going to be encouragement the forest, naturally the particular animals are supposed to be enter in the human habitat. So that's why you have to maintain the harmonious relationship between the human and their environment. So these are the main three objectives: protection and improvement of environment, prevention of hazard. Here in the first case we are protecting and improvement. Second is what? We are prevention of the hazard, means what? Any harmful effect of that particular activity. Our aim is to reduce that harmful effect or prevent that harmful effect. And third objective is what? Get the proper relationship between the each and every aspect of the environment, each and every element of environment to the human beings. So these are the main three objectives of the Environmental Protection Act. Now afterwards, you're supposed to know the what are the important terms. What are the important terms? Just wait. Okay. Now important terms. The first is the according to the act include water, air, land. According to the act, what is the include water, air, and land, and the interrelationship between which exist among between the water, air, land, human beings, other living creature, plant, microorganism, and property. According to what is the definition of environment? According to that, includes water, air, and land, and their interrelationship between which exist among or and between water, air, land, and human beings and other living creatures, plant, microorganism, property. Means what? Mainly we are considering the water, air, land, and their interrelationship with the human beings and other living creatures like microorganism, property, everything that we can term as a one whole term as a environment. Now, when you're dealing with the environmental pollutant, according to the Act, includes any solid, liquid, or gaseous substance present in such concentration as may be injurious to the environment. Now, once you understand the definition of environment, now what is the environmental pollutant? Pollutant is nothing but agent, agency, which is responsible or which create the harmful effect, which is going to be injurious to the environment. Means according to that, include any solid, liquid, or gaseous substance present in such concentration as may be injurious to the environment. Means the concentration is also very important. If the small concentration is there, in that case we can allowable concentration. If the concentration maybe increases above the limit, then we can say there is injurious to the environment. Now environment, once you understand definition of environment, next is what? Environmental pollutant. Means what? According to that, include any solid, liquid, or gaseous substance present in such concentration as may be injurious to the environment. As may be injurious to the environment, that is your environmental pollution. The third definition is what? Environmental pollutant. Sorry, environmental pollution. Now, what is this? The pollutant responsible for that means what? Means presence of any environmental pollutant. What is what? Pollutant into the environment. That is responsible for environmental pollution. Pollutant means what? Don't confuse. Pollutant is what? Any solid, liquid or gaseous substance present in such a concentration means what? Allow the above the concentration, if the concentration level defined and above that if the concentration is there and that is going to be injurious to the environment, then we can say that is the environmental pollutant. And this environmental pollutant is responsible for the environmental pollution. So presence of any environmental pollutant into the atmosphere in the environment, that is your environmental pollution. The third term is there hazardous substance. Means means any substance any substance which is liable to cause harm to human beings, other living creatures, and property or environment by reason of its chemical or psychochemical, physiochemical properties or handling. Means any substance which is liable to cause harm to the human beings. Means what hazardous means, for example, if you take the chemical, for example, chromium, cadmium, nickel or cyanide, whatever, if small content is present into the atmosphere, into present in the water body, that which create very hazardous effect or very dangerous effect on the human being. So means what? Any substance which is liable to cause harm to human beings, other living creatures, property or environment by reason of its chemical or physiochemical property or handling. If you're not properly handling, in that case also that will create hazardous effect. If the presence of that chemical and because of this chemical property, that is going to be created the hazardous effect on the particular human beings or other living creatures, property or environment. So that is your hazardous substance. So you know the environment, you know the environmental pollutant, you know the environmental pollution and hazardous substance. These are the main terms which is provided, which is available in this act. Now on this act, the further details of act we are supposed to discuss. Now under this act, say what are the duties of central government? Duties of central government for the protection and improvement of environment, for the prevention, control, minimize abatement with minimum abatement of environment pollution. The act under section 3 empower the central government to take following measures. Means under the section 3 the government take the following measures. If the particular measures are not going to followed by the authority, followed by the particular industry, so in that case the government can be implement or government can be charged the penalties against them. So the first point related to this general power and central government. The first duty is what we can say. First parameter is what to coordinate the action of state government officers and other authorities under this act under any other related laws. Okay, if some laws are there, other related laws are there, so make the proper coordination between that at that condition with for this authority and the particular state government officers, so that fruitful results can be produced. To plan and execute to plan and execute nationwide program for prevention, control and abatement of environmental pollution. To plan and execute, once you prepare the plan how to control that pollution or prevent that pollution, so first step is what you have to make the planning of that activity. Then once you plan, then how to execute, that big question. That for this execution you have to make the proper program, you have to make the coordination. The central government is going to be coordinated with the state government and state government is going to be coordinated with the particular district or district authority, so that the proper implementation of that law is to be uh, applicable on that site. So plan, execute national nationwide program for prevention, control, and abatement of environmental pollution. That is the duty or a power of the central government. Next, to lay down the standards for quality of environment in its various aspects and for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from the different sources. These standards are provided in the schedule to the Environmental Protection Act. So, the next duty of the central government is what? They are supposed to be decide the standards. How much BUD is there, how much CUD is there, how much suspended solid is there, what is the SOX, what is the NOx. So all these standards are defined by the authority. So means what? Quality of environment various aspect for emission or discharge of environmental pollutant from different sources. These standards are provided in schedule. These standards are available. So the standards are going to be decided by the authority. The team is there. All the in the from well-known we can say expert team is there. That expert team working on that and decide how much or what standards we are supposed to be lay. Okay. So for example, one simple example is given you hardness in water body. In hardness, as per the WHO, the hardness should be required HDL, highest desired level is 100. WHO said highest desirable level is 100, but our BSA you can go up to the 200. You can go up to the 200. Why these two times we are taking? Because we are considering the Indian condition. Because most of the water getting from the wells and that wells having the hard water. If it go for the groundwater is having more hardness as compared to surface water, and there is no evidence available drinking hard water create the harmful effect on the body. But there are many evidence are available drinking soft water is creating the harmful effect. So such type of provision we can make at our national level, at our level. So some small changes we can make it at our level by considering the surrounding condition, by considering the surrounding environment. So that less standards are going to be defined by the particular authority or expert, and that standards are incorporated in this particular Environmental Pollution Act to demark and segregate industrial area from the non-industrial area, industrial ones. Means what? Here is what the authority here in this, as per the you, role of the authority is going to be suggesting the particular area should be allotted for the industrial activity and other is the non-industrial activity. Because if you make the segregation of industrial and non-industrial activity, so it is very easy or it is simple to control the pollution on that sector. If the segregated industries are there at one industry as A location, B industry and C location throughout the city, so in that case it is very difficult to control. If that one location at one site or one area, if the all industries are there, so we can make the common treatment plant facility, or we can make some provisions over there, because some industry produce some waste and that waste is going to be utilized by another industry. So such way we can make the coordination between the different industry and we can reduce the overall effect on the environment. So it need to be make demarcation or make the segregation of the industrial zone as well as other as compared to other zones. That is also duty of the central government to lay down procedure and safeguard for handling hazardous substances, for prevention of accident causing environmental pollution and remedial measures. Means what? Some of the hazardous materials are there. For example, radioactive waste material is there, and whatever the waste is there, that waste is very, very hazardous. So how to handle, how to treat, that is also one of the provision on that for this the particular authority is going to give the procedure. First step is what, second step is what, third step is what. So you have to follow that step so that that is not creating any accident. So means what? Lay down the procedure and safeguard for handling hazardous substances, for prevention of accident causing environmental pollution, as well as you have to provide some remedial measures also regarding these hazardous substances. Now these are some general powers of the central government. First is what? Plan, execute, and coordinate with the coordinate with the state and other authorities. Then lay down the standards by the experts by considering the environmental condition available in that area, in that particular country, and according to make we can make the changes in that. So next one is what? Demark or segregate the industrial area as with other areas, so that it is very easy to treat, easy to handle the particular environmental pollution problem. And afterwards, if any hazardous substances are there, hazardous materials are there, hazardous waste is there, so it needs to be treated properly, it needs to be handled properly, it needs to be uh, treat properly or handle. First step is what? Handle properly, then the treatment comes. If you're not handling properly, that is definitely creating the accident. So it needs to be handled properly, that hazardous material. So this is a general power of central government. Others also there. Next power is what? To examine and examine the manufacturing process, material, and substances likely to cause environmental pollution. Okay, means for example, if a particular industry is there, the industry producing particular any material. For example, if the industry is there producing the for example, pen is going to manufacturing from that industry. So for this pen, which type of material they are using, which type of manufacturing process they are followed, so that is also going to be examined. Sometimes what will happen, in the particular industry, for the good sale, they are making some modification in that manufacturing process by adding some material which is hazardous, which is creating the environment pollution. So such type of addition or such type of alterations are going to be restricted, and that is going to be examined by the particular authority. So frequent observation, frequent visits, and observing the if any change in the manufacturing process is there, or if small change in the material also that causes the pollution. So that all things you need to be considered by the authority. Next is the to inspect any premises, plant, manufacturing process, equipment, machinery, give direction to the prevent, control, abate environment pollution. Which is this authority also having the rights to go and inspect the particular plant, manufacturing process, equipment, whether the equipments are handling properly, or whether they're properly maintained, or equipments are not are there, to control, prevent, and abate. These three terms are always same, always come: prevent, control, abate environmental pollution. So any particular official can visit the plant, observe the manufacturing process, equipment, and machinery to avoid to restrict the environmental pollution. The next is to establish and recognize environmental laboratories and institutes to evolve standardized method for sampling and analysis of various types of environmental pollutant. To analyze sample, to carry out investigations, to lay down standards for the quality of environment and discharge of environmental pollutants, to monitor and enforce the standards set, and to report periodically to the central government. Means what? Under that also the particular laboratories are need to be installed or need to be established, and what are the standard methods for sampling. If you want to measure the BOD COD, how to collect the sample, where you have to collect the sample. Similarly, if you go for the air sampling, in this air sampling also, when and what time and what way, what frequency level you have to collect the air sample from the stack. So all these sampling procedures, sampling methods are defined. So the particular authority or particular inspection engineer has to be go and collect the sample properly, and then afterwards analyze. And once you analyze, then make the investigation report, and check it whether they are following the controlling the standards or not. If you are not controlling, then that particular report supposed to prepare and sending to the higher authority for taking the action. Means if the BOD is if the BOD of the wastewater is 20 milligram per liter, effluent standard. Suppose the BOD of that wastewater is above the 20 milligram per liter standard. So in that case, naturally the particular authority or particular inspection engineer giving report to the authority, and the particular authority is going to take action on that particular industry. So, and for this, it needs to be established the laboratories. The laboratories are required for analysis purpose. Okay, for analysis purpose, laboratories are required, and that laboratory is also going to be established by this particular government or particular authority, so that the particular activity can be run properly. To carry out and sponsor investigations and research in environmental pollution problem, means as well as they are promoting the research. If any problem is there, heavy metal problem in that particular area is there, so that if the particular researcher has to be perform the research on that particular element, so in that case also the authority give the sponsorship or provide supporting uh, document or supporting infrastructure to that particular researcher to get the required output. Most of the time what will happen, electroplating industry or heavy metal discharging industry, without treating, if we are discharging the waste into the atmosphere, into the water, the small amount of heavy metals creating the hazardous effect. So it needs to be studied, and for this, because it is not possible for the government to authority to perform all the sampling and all the activities. Sometimes you have to take the help of the researchers also. So in that case, they are supposed to provide some sponsorship, or they are supposed to provide some infrastructure like laboratories, providing laboratories for analysis to get done the task, you perform that particular activity. So in this slide, if you see the what is the role of the central government, or what are the powers of the central government to examine manufacturing process or material. Next is what they can go and inspect anything inside the lab, inside the industry, whether equipments are working properly or not, to avoid the control pollution. Similarly, they are going to establish various laboratories to analyze the samples which are collected from the site, and how to collect the sample, how to analyze the sample. Everything is going to be decided. Everything is going to be followed. Similarly, they provide the sponsorship or infrastructure support to the researcher to perform the environmental research. So next is what general power of central government, that is also same. Next power is what? To prepare manuals, codes, guides, uh, to disseminate collected information in manner related to the environmental pollution and its prevention, control, abatement. Means what? Naturally, once you have the database of the all research, all the testing. So in that case, by considering the testing, they are preparing the manual how to treat, and what they are deciding the codes and guide to disseminate correct the information. And from that course and that manuals, the particular uh, normal common people also understand how much effluent standard for that wastewater is there. So that manuals are available free of cost on the website. You can download and see what are the limits over there. To take up any matter necessary or expedient for implementation of provision of this act. And what are the necessary arrangement is there, or necessary permissions are there, that also going to be taken place. To constitute any authority, constitute an authority if necessary for the purpose of performing such function and power of central government. Means they have they are supposed to be constituted, they are supposed to formulate the authority for the purpose of performing the above activities smoothly. Further, to regulate the environmental pollution, and the central government may, by notifying in the official gazette, make rules in respect to all or any matter referred to the section 3 above, from A to last one, that A to L, that is under the section 6.3. Means about the provisions are mentioned in 6.3, and for this they are on the they are notifying the official gazette. So everyone can easily understand, everyone go follow that rules and regulations. So for avoiding the penalties. Now, once you go for this general duties, next is a provision for prevention, control, and abatement of environmental pollution. So, what are the provisions are going to be control the air pollution, or control the environmental pollution under the section 7.1? No person carrying on any industry operation process shall be permitted to discharge any environmental pollutant in excess of prescribed limit. Means if the BOD is 20, above the 20, if the wastewater is BOD to more than 20, then that person is or any particular authority or particular industry cannot permit to discharge. Means so no person carrying on any industry operation or process shall be permitted to discharge environment pollution in excess of prescribed limit under section 8.2. No person shall handle hazardous waste substance without complying with the prescribed procedure. Means what? If the hazardous waste is there, then defined procedure is there. What is step number 1, step number 2, step number 3? So that person has to follow. So if someone is going to be not followed, and then under the section 8.2, the particular the person get the charge. Okay, or we can say under the section 8.2, the person is going to be uh, law is going to be implemented, or we can say enforcement, or one you can say the particular law is not going to be followed by the particular person, and under that section 8.2 we can book that person. So that is 8.2. No one person can be handled substance without prescribed procedural safeguards. Under the section 8.3, a person is responsible to mitigate environment pollution and to intimate any occurrence relating to the environmental pollution to the concerned authority, and also assist those authority in preventing and mitigation and environmental pollution. Means what? A person is responsible to mitigate environmental pollution, and to intimate occurrence related to the environmental pollution to the concerned authority. Means what? If any pollution is there, the particular has to be informed to the particular authority under the section 8.3. Under the section 10, the central government and its officer have power to enter, inspect any place for any check the whether the things are going to work properly, whether manufacturing process as per the defined, or whether the material is provided using there as per the defined or not. That all the things are going to be checked under the section 810. The central government officers can be entered. Means under the section 7.1, what will happen? We cannot follow, we cannot permit the discharge, we cannot break the environmental we cannot exceed the limit of environmental pollutant. Under section 8.2, what will happen? Hazardous substance can be handled properly. Under 9.3, the person has to be informed to the concerned authority the environmental pollution is going on. Under section 10, any authority or any central government officer or concerned authority can visit the plant without any notice. Then under section 11, the central government and its officers have the power to take sample of air, water, soil, or substances from the factory or place for analysis. Means what? They can go and take the sample for the further analysis. Section 12, the central government has power to establish environmental laboratories, recognize any laboratory institute as an environmental laboratory. Means what? Central government having power to establish a laboratory or any laboratory which is available, and giving the authority to perform the analysis. Under the section 13, the central government may appoint or recognize government analysts for the purpose of analysis of sample air. Means the central government can be appoint the agency perform this analysis operation. Under this section, the report is going to come. So the Act also made it clear that the expenses, including with the respect to remedial measures, shall be recovered from the persons responsible. Now, these are some sections under this particular Act, and that Act having their defined points how to work out or how this particular law is going to be implemented.